Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Saratoga Racecourse here on Wednesday. It is the 3rd of June, 2026. Gonna look at the stakes races here on day one of the Belmont Stakes Festival. But before I get on to that, remember to follow me on X at Horse Racing Kid 5 for more selections for race courses around the world. And join me throughout the week for some more Saratoga previews. It's going to be an excellent week of racing. But today's card is really good. We're going to look at all the stakes races here on New York showcase day. So let's get to the action. We'll be looking at the stakes races, basically races one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, and 9. I don't know why they couldn't put them in chronological order, but they didn't. But let's get them. Let's get to the stakes action. Starting off with the opener, it's over the jumps. It's the Beverly Steinman Hurdle Handicap. It's a grade one event going for $150,000 purse, race for 4-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 8 horses going the distance of ground here of 3,800 meters or 2 miles and 3/8 over the hurdle course. Going to take the number one horse, Little Trebly, as a top selection. We're going to go 1658 in the superfecta. 1658 super, top selection, the one horse, Little Trebly. This 6-year-old gelding by Golden Horn here. Richard Hendricks trains as one. Jack Kennedy comes in to ride this horse. They ran the horse most recently, 2nd of May at Great Meadow, 2 miles and 8th in the Grade 1 Commonwealth Cup, and the horse won by 6 3/4 lengths that day. And he sat back early. He jumped a terrific race off the bench. When they said to go with him, he flew home. That was a very good race. He's refreshing here to Saratoga for the third time. He's run or fourth time. He's run very well races here in the past, getting a champion rider up Jack Kennedy. I think this horse could really improve and get the job done here today. Two back, he ran a Camden down south, 2 miles 5/8 in the Grade 1 Colonial Cup, and he just fell that day. What can you do? He just couldn't stay afloat. He wasn't really fluid throughout the race. It wasn't his day to win. And then prior to that, Great Meadow, 2 miles and 8th in a Grade 2 handicap hurdle, went by half a length that day. Again, he likes that Great Meadow course, and he flew home clear. Last year in the Mark Walsh novice here at Saratoga with 2 miles 3/8. He won by 12 3/4 lengths that day. And again, he sat back early. When he moved his way into the race, he really, flew home clear with that long run. And 17-1, that was a very good effort. He ran last year's Steinman, where he ran, okay early on, but then just completely hit the wall late. He gets a handicap today of 156 pounds, a little bit more weight than he carried in this race last year. But I do think he's a better horse this year coming to the race. I think he could win. We'll use him on the ticket. I think the 6-horse Fatigue for best weight could win also. He's a winner of once at Saratoga. That came in the Jonathan Kaiser back here 2 seasons ago with the 2 miles 16th, or 3 seasons ago now. Winning by 3 3/4 lengths. He flew home clear. Came back to run a decent third in the Shepherd after that here at Saratoga in the summer of 23. And then he missed all of 24, all 25. Came back to run a few weeks ago, or a few months ago in a hurdle race where he just needed the race off the bench. Came back to run in Nashville a few weeks ago where he had a decent race. He's been getting better with every single race off the bench. He has hidden ability that could do wonders here. I'll give him a shot here, 12-1 on the ticket. But to recap my selection for the first from Saratoga here on the Belmont Stakes Festival preview, I'm gonna go with the one horse Little Triple E. Give kudos to the 6-horse Fatigue, 1658 Super, 1/6 in the multi race. Heading over to the flat, the second race from Saratoga, it's the Bouwerie Stakes, going for a $200,000 purse race for 3-year-old fillies, New York breds. Field of 7 horses, going 1,400 meters or 7 furlongs here in the Bowery. I'm gonna go with the 5-horse Galinda as a top selection, 5742 in the superfecta. 5742 super, top selection, the 5-horse Galinda. This 3-year-old filled by Good Magic. Miguel Clement trains. Jaime Rodriguez gets the mount. The horse's most recent race came 12th of April at Aqueduct, 7 furlongs, an optional 100 claimer. And the horse won by half length that day, and he broke on top that day. A little bit dueling that day. I think he was gonna go down with the cavalry late, but he fought on to get the job done. That was a very good effort. He's refreshing you here back to stakes. Quite a horse where he has some good races. Back to 7 furlongs. I think his buyers are up to par, and I think he can improve here today. Two back in the Matty May at Aqueduct, the 1-turn mile 7th of March. He finished second by a neck that day. And again, he broke on top. He looked like he was going to get away with it, but then he just was flat late. He really couldn't get there. It was a weird race. He should have won that day. Victory Hall just had the jump on him. And the Eastview at Aqueduct going 7 furlongs back in February. Went by 9 1/4 lengths. He was much the best on paper, and he proved it on the racetrack. He really came home clear. And won on debut going 3/4 in main special weight at Aqueduct in early January. Won it by 3/4 on length that day. A little bit wide, but he got the job done. He's proven he can run from a little bit behind like he did on debut. He does his better running style also on the front end. Versatile type, training well at Belmont, coming up north. I'll give him a shot on the ticket. I think the 7 horse here, Hot Currency for Manny Franco and Linda Rice going also. Most recently ran in the New York Stallion Stakes at Aqueduct over the 6th, 11th of April, and the horse won by 8 1/4 lengths. Again, much the best on paper. This horse flew home clear. Very good race. His races prior to that 10th of January at Aqueduct going 6.5 and optional 80 for state bred. He finished second by 3 quarters of a length. Icky Bear is running back in this one, or Pricky Briar is running back in this one. Really came home clear. This horse just needed something more late. Started here on debut last summer at Saratoga, going 5.5 in a main special weight. Decent place. I thought he gained some ground. Since then, he's run some decent buyers that could definitely win. At 7 to 5, we could use him on the ticket. And also watch out for the 4 horse Irish Lullaby. First time on Gert here. Most recent races on Tapeta at Turfway and Woodbine, weren't bad at all. He won at Woodbine last time out, going 3 quarters in a very nice main special weight. Coming here to dirt for the first time. I'll give him a shot on the ticket. I think he has ability also. He's definitely improving. But to recount my selection for the second from Saratoga, it is the Bouwerie. Gonna take the 5 horse Galinda. Give kudos to the 7 horse, excuse me, Hot Currency, and the 4 horse Irish Lullaby. 5742 Super, 574 in the multi race. Back to the turf course with the third event from Saratoga. It is the Mount Vernon Stakes, going for a $200,000 purse race for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upwards, state breds. We have a field of 10 horses entered. 9, 10 are both MTOs. 8 will head to the Mellon Turf Course. 1,700-meter trip, or mile 16th on that Mellon Turf Course. I'm going to take the 4 horse 5G as top selection. 4-6-3-5 for me in the superfecta. 4-6-3-5 super. Top selection of 4 horse 5G. This 4-year-old Philip Bacoma. George Weaver trains this one. John Velasquez gets the mount. Ran the horse most recently in the Apple Blossom at Oaklawn, mile 16th, 11th of April. And the horse finished 8th by 21 1/4 lengths that day. Just got up class by Claret Beret that day, Nitrogen and Majestic Oops. Those are decent horses. This horse, I just don't think she wanted to go the trip. I like that they're returning her to the turf for the first time since her Tyrrell campaign. She ran very well on turf. I like that she's also back to Staybreds for the first time since her Tyrrell campaign. I think she could improve and just get the job done a little bit better than she did at most recent races. She was training on the turf quite nicely since the Apple Blossom down in South Florida. So coming up north here today, I think she can improve. I thought she ran terrifically in option 6-2 at Gulfstream 2 back, the 1 turn mile, 13th of February. Went by 4 1/4 lengths that day on the pace. She quickened up nicely and got the job done. A very good race, first time older horses. And then the La Brea at Santa Anita, 7 furlongs in December, finishing ninth by 18 lengths. Usha came home clear. This horse stunk up the place. It was her first start since February, since March. I think she needed the race. She won the Gulfstream Park Oaks prior to that quite nicely on the front end. She had a very wide trip in the Honeybee prior to that, probably cost her a victor. For 13 to 13 at Oakland's not ideal, going 2 turns. And this horse proved you need to be an incredible horse to win from out there like the Rapida. And this horse just didn't have the trip. She finished second by a length behind Quadside, who was the next start winner. But her turf events, again, has been a while since this horse stepped on the grass course. Were very good run races. One main special weight at Aqueduct in the fall of 24, mile 16th out of turf course in main special weight. Won by 4 lengths from a track and chip. She came home clear. Came back 2 weeks later in the Tempin at Aqueduct over the mile 16th, where she had a very good place that day. She just got caught by Laurelyn Late, who's a decent horse. A next start winner also, along with this one, who won the cash run after that. But this horse ran her hard off the quick turnaround from that wide post drop. Back here to this turf course. I think she could get a trip to win. I think a different in scenery could do wonders for her. I think the 6 horse National Archive for Miguel Clement and Flavian could win also. Most recently in the state bred option 45 at Aqueduct, going mile 16th in early May. The horse finished third by 2 3/4 lengths that day, and he was just wide and needs something more. He ran prior to that, in the Jock Club Oaks in the fall at Aqueduct over the mile 3, where the horse finished sixth by 4 1/4 lengths, where again, this horse got outclassed. I do like this horse second off the bench, just going through the form cycle. Always needs that first race off the bench. Most recent victor in a very nice mile 3 furlong, optional 50 at Aqueduct back last September. The horse by head on the front end looked like it was going to get weakened out of it late, but found something left in the tank to get the job in a very good race. What place prior to that, going a mile 3 here at Saratoga last August, where the horse again just couldn't get there late. The winner Almira just had the jump on this horse, but she ran her heart out and then broke her or won an allowance race for state prize, going mile 3/16 last July 4th on this turf course. Winning by head, she ran terrifically from the back end. She's she's a versatile type. She come from on the front end, come from behind. She likes this turf course, getting Flavian up at 8-1. She could win. We'll use her in the pick four here that begins with this race. Remember, I don't think there is a pick four that begins with race number one. So the pick five begins with race number two. Pick four begins with race number three today. But there are quite a few options for multi-race wagers throughout this card. So you decide where you want to use these horses also. But to recap my selection for the third from Saratoga, it's the Mount Vernon. Going to take the 4 horse 5G. Give kudos to the 6 horse National Archive. 4-6-3-5 Super. 4-6 in the multi race. Heading over now to the fourth event from Saratoga, back to the inner turf course for the first time this season, or second time this season. I think they run the the jumps races on the inner turf course. But the fourth race from Saratoga, it's the Kingston Stakes. It's going for a $200,000 purse race for 3-year-olds, 3-year-olds and upwards, state breds here. We have a field of 12 horses entered. 8 through 12 are MTOs, and the weather looks good, so we're not going to be off the turf. It looks likely. You never know about Saratoga, but if this race is run on dirt, it's going to be still a good race here. It's going to be over the Wilson Mile, though, but it's still going to be a good race. But 7 horses will head to the turf course. The distance of ground is 1,700 meters, or mile 16th in the Kingston. Rails are out at 18 feet. And I like that this race is run closer to Kingston, New York than Belmont is, or actually Kingston might be the halfway point between Saratoga and Belmont. A lot of these races, it's weird, like running sometimes when you see races run at like Saratoga. What was it? There was a race that was named after New York, like the Tremont is named after, and the Astoria last year run up at Saratoga. Those are neighborhoods in Queens and the Bronx. That was weird seeing some of those races run 200 miles away from New York City. This race, it's kind of a little bit closer to Kingston, so I'll let it pass. But it's you can't run the Brooklyn up in at Saratoga. It has to be run in New York City or was to it, but that's my personal opinion. But my top selection here, I'm going to go with the 3 horse Smooth Breeze. I'm going to go 3-2-6-7 in the superfecta. 3-2-6-7 Super. Top selection 3 horse Smooth Breeze is for originally by More Than Ready. Jorge Abreu trains. John Velazquez gets the mount. They ran the horse most recently the 24th of April at Aqueduct, mile 16th in a state bred option 45, and the horse finished fourth by 2 1/4 lengths that day. It just was flat. So his first start was coming from South Florida, and I just didn't need the race to get acclimatized. I like her who was second off the bench. We're in terrific races in South Florida and even in defeat last season. Back here to Saratoga, I think she can improve, get the job done. 2 back and up to 25 at Goldstream, mile 16, 28th of February. She finished second by 3/4 length behind Petkin, who's a decent allowance kind of horse. This horse sat back early, gained some ground. She just missed late, but she ran her heart out. An 87 buyer wasn't bad at all off the bench. And the 3rd January Goldstream, mile 16th and option 25, finishing third by 1 3/4 lengths. If the race was a mile and eighth, she probably would have won that day. But David Egan rode a terrific race for this horse to get through late. She ran her heart out. First and second place finishers out of that race were both next start winners. His horse nearly won next start out in that very nice allowance race at Gulfstream. It was her first race since the Rick Violet Stakes here at Saratoga over the mile 16th on the mountain last July, where she finished second by a neck that day, where she was very wide, but she really gained some ground. And then I put up last June over the mile and eighth and option 45 off the turf, finishing second by 3 1/4 lengths. Weinstock was running late in the card, really ran terrifically. This horse just needs something more, but her state bred turf races aren't half bad. She broke her maiden on this over the course and distance here in the about 2 years ago, getting Johnny V up 6-1. I think she could win. I think the 2 horse George Briggs for Miguel Clement and Flavien could win also. Off the bench here, going mile 16th at Aqueduct in a state bred option 45. She won by 2 lengths. Had a dream tracking trip. When Flavien said, "What's the button with her?" She came up clear. That was a very good race. That was his first start in the Clement barn. Previously, she trained by Chad Brown in South Florida, mile 16th and option 25 at Gulfstream. She actually placed behind Raven and Smooth Breeze, finished third in that race. This horse finished second by 1 1/4 lengths. Just need something more late. But didn't run half bad with an 84 buyer. And then last year's Mohawk at Aqueduct over the mile 16, finished fourth by 3/4 length, which is a little bit wide, but again, she ran her heart out. She has never stepped on the turf here at Saratoga. She ran last year's New York Stallion Series over the Wilson Mile, where she won by a neck. She only had 5 other rivals, but he really came home clear. I think he has head and ability that could do wonders here also. 2-1. I know it's a crap price, but he could win. And even the 6 horse Mibago for Jose Ortiz and Mark Passy, back facing coming here to state facing state bred horses against open company in the Midwest, hasn't run half bad. Was a winner 3 back and a very nice option 6-2 at Gulfstream. going a mile on the turf course. Came back to run the Kilroy after that Santinier, where the horse just kind of stunk up the place, and the opening verse stunk up the place. But his 3-year-old form last year was very nicely done. He was placing against some tough horses in that division. Back here, coming to face state breds, training well Belmont. I'll give him a shot on the ticket. But to recap my selection for the fourth from Saratoga, it is the Kingston. Gonna take 3-horse Smooth Breeze. Give kudos to 2-horse George Briggs and the 6-horse Mibago. 3-2-6-7 Super. 3-2-6 in the multi race. Heading over to the fifth race now from Saratoga. First two-turn dirt route race at Saratoga's fifth race from Saratoga, which is the Critical Eye Stakes. It's going for a $200,000 purse race for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upward, state-breds. Again, we have a field of, let's see, field of 7 horses going 1,800 meters or 1 lap around the main track, which is a mile and 1/8 in circumference. Top selection in the Critical Eye. I'm going to take 3-horse Landed. 3-4-7-1 for me in the superfecta. 3-4-7-1 super. Top selection of 3-horse Landed. This 5-year-old mare by Omaha Beach. Wesley Ward trains. John Velazquez gets the mount. They ran the horse most recently in optional 80 at Keeneland, a mile and 8th and 12th of April. And the horse went second by 4 lengths that day, and he sat on the front end seeing some good fractions, but it just kind of hit the wall late. This horse needed the race off the bench. Come here second off the bench. Wesley Warren has good numbers first off the bench and second off the bench, to tell you the truth. But the first off the bench is with those sprinters who really run wonders. Router's not so good. But coming here second off the bench against these horses, back Saratoga, this horse run very well in the past. I think this horse get the job done. Also turned very well here today to get a good front end trip. Luback ran in the Bay Ridge at Aqueduct, 1 mile, 28th December, and he finished third by 3 lengths that day. Bernie takes charge, took charge in the lane. This horse just kind of stalked him and just couldn't get there late. First off, a little bit refreshing. I think the horse needed the race. And then back at Kentucky Downs, 1 mile and optional 80, finishing fourth by 3 1/4 lengths that day. Sat on the front end, but then just kind of crumbled late. Got beat by better horses on the turf that day. If you go back to his races here at Saratoga in the past, ran here twice. Won the Bouwerie 2 seasons ago on this turf course, going 7 furlongs by 1 1/4 lengths, quite impressively in the front end. Came back to run the Fleet Indian after that against State Breds in the summer with a horse by 2 1/4 lengths with John Velazquez up. He sent the horse and nobody challenged him. That was a very good race. These 2-turn mile and 1/8 races at Saratoga can be a little grudgy in the lane where horses are in front by a lot, and a lot of horses are weakening out of it. If this horse is, cranked up second off the bench, this horse is going to win in front by herself easily, which I expect her to do. She's run well races on the front as of recently. To give her a shot here at 9-5 on the ticket. There's a horse that could possibly upset it. It might be the 4 Vitelina for Ray Handel and Dylan Davis. Ray Handel doesn't have great numbers off the bench, but this horse, is run decently. Won the Empire Distaff closing up in the back of the pack at Aqueduct 2 back. The races last summer ran okay in the Fleet Indian on this track. A decent place in last year's New York Oaks. I do think this horse goes up a little bit better with 2 turns, but she might beat the race off the bench. I'll use her on the ticket, but I do think Landed is a very likely winner. I can understand Singler in the pick 6 that begins with this race, or Singler in the pick 4. But to recap my selection for the fifth now from Saratoga, it is the Critical Eye. We're going to take 3-horse Landing, a small upset of the 4-horse Catalina, 3-4-7-1 Super, 3-4 in the multi race. So we're going to head over to race number 8 now from the Spa. Race from Saratoga. It is the Mike Lee Stakes. It's going for a $200,000 purse. Race for 3-year-olds, state breds here. We have a field of 9 horses going 1,400 meters or 7 furlongs in the Mike Lee. I'm going to take the number 7 horse, Arctic Beast, as a top selection. 7-8-9-2 for me in the superfecta. 7-8-9-2 super. Top selection 9 horse, Arctic Beast. It's theoretical by Yopan. Mike Maker trains. Ricardo Santana Jr. gets the mount. They ran the horse most recently 3rd of April at Keeneland. 7 furlongs on the slop in the Lafayette Stakes, and the horse finished fourth by 7 lengths that day. And he just kind of stalked that day. First time against Open Company in a little bit of time, he just, got beat by better horse on the day. I think coming here back to State Breds, coming here to Saratoga, where this horse won on debut quite nicely in a very gritty performance, I think this horse could run a little bit better and get the job done here today than he did last time out at Keeneland. 2 back in the Damon Runyon at Aqueduct, 7 furlongs, 14th of February. He won by 9 3/4 lengths that day, and on the front end, he basically cruised to the winner's circle, 84 Buyer. That was impressive. Back-facing state-bred quality horses. Prior to the Springboard Mile against Open Company at Remington over the mile, he finished second by 6 1/4 lengths. He really closed up well behind Express Kid that day, but maybe the two turns really got to him. It was his first and only start around two turns. Maybe just wasn't 100% crank that day. He's proven that he wants to run one turn race. I think a one turn 7 furlongs is really up his alley. Prior to that, the New York Breeders' Futurity at the Finger Lakes over the six. Winning by 5 3/4 lengths. Again, he ran terrifically that day. Again, 5 cents a dollar, but knew he was going to win. Easy money there. And then the aspirant at Finger Lakes on the slot going 5.5. Winning by 7.5 lengths. A good race and broke his main here on the front end last August quite nicely. He's training well. Churchill back here 5-1 against State Breds. He could definitely win. I think the 8 horse Time to Roll for Jose Ortiz and Horacio De Paz can win also. You know, again against some not world's deepest Open Company races, but ran the Bayshore where he finished second by 2 lengths behind Solitude Dude. Placed behind Igniter and the Jimmy Wingfield. Ran the in Damon Runyon prior to that, where he just needed the race off the bench. His races as a 2-year-old weren't bad at all. One break was made going 1 turn mile at Aqueduct. No, in September, came back to win a very nice allowance race after that at Aqueduct on the dirt. He's training nicely coming to this one. He could definitely win. And even the 9 horse Bravaro for Irad and Safi Joseph facing state bred quality horse for the first time since last October. Won the Sleepy Hollow against state breds. Won a main special weight on debut here at Aqueduct going 6 furlongs. Before that came and then over the winter was just facing some tough open competition. Placed in the Holy Bowl, finished fourth in the Fountain of Youth, and then ran in the Wood Memorial. Had a bit of a wide trip that day and had a steady few times, but ran an okay fourth place finish. I think I actually bet him in the Wood Memorial. I can't remember now, but I know he was somewhere on one of my tickets. But I like that he's trading well since the Wood Memorial. I like that he's coming back in trip 5-2. We'll use him on the ticket. So we're gonna use all the outside horses in that late pick four for this race. But to recap my selection for the eighth now from Saratoga. It is the Mike Lee. We're going to take the 7 horse Arctic Beast, give kudos to the 8 horse Time to Roll, and the 9 horse Bravaro, 7-8-9-2 Super, 7-8-9 in the multi race. Heading over to the featured ninth race from Saratoga. The ninth race, it is the Commentator Stakes. It's going for a $200,000 purse race for 3-year-olds and upwards state breds. We have a field of 9 horses going 1,800 meters or mile eighth here in the Commentator. And Commentator is one of those horses when I remember when I was a kid. He was just always around. He won the Whitney in like 2005, four. I want to say 2005, and then he won it like 5 years later in like 2000. When you're a kid, it feels like 5 years later, but I think it was like 2008, 4 years, 3 years later. As an older horse, and at the end of his career, he was always, he was always a good horse. One of my best commentator races I remember was the House Hope of 2005. It's somewhere on YouTube. I think Pat Day rode commentator, and for the first time in Pat Day's life, he sent the horse, hustling out of the gate. And if I'm not mistaken, commentator might have went 109 or 108 in like 4/5 to 3/4. And just completely crumbled. They were, a pace meltdown. Patrick Silver won the race. A horse by the name of Dynaver placed closing up from nowhere from like post 13 at Gulfstream going 2 turns, which is unideal, which is not ideal. But that was one of the weirdest rides I ever saw Pat Day do, sending commentator flying on the front end, 44, 108 and change to 3/4 for a mile and eighth race. That was just crazy. But I think that was the same year he won the Whitney here at Saratoga. But my top selection in this year's commentator, I'm going to go with the number 7 horse Iron Dome. I'm going to go 7-6-8-4 in the superfecta. 7-6-8-4 super. Top selection 7 horse Iron Dome. This 4-year-old Coldbane to the mischief. Steve Asmussen trains. Jose Ortiz gets the mount. Horse ran most recently first off the bench at Oakland, 1 mile allowance race for 125,000, where he finished second by 2 lengths that day, where he was just wide. I think he needed the race. I think coming here second off the bench back to Saratoga, where this horse is running very well in the past, he could get a trip to win. As a favorite, as the lukewarm 2-1 favorite at Aqueduct, 2-back, mile and eighth in the Empire Classic, he didn't show up. He finished sixth by 5 1/4 lengths. He sat on the front end, but then he just kind of hit the wall. Maybe at the end of a very tough campaign, he just wasn't keeping up that day. It was also his first against older horses in a little bit of time. He ran prior to that in the Oklahoma Derby, where I thought he had a decent place by 3.5 lengths behind Bracket Buster, who just had the jump on this horse. But this horse He ran okay that day with a 94 buyer, but then his midsummer form was very nicely done. Won in July, going a mile and eighth in the main special weight here by 10 and three-quarter lengths. Came back to win an allowance race after that in mid-August over the mile and eighth, and came back to run 2 weeks later here in the Albany, where he won by 6 and three-quarter lengths. Very good races with all quick turnarounds. Not a lot of horses running last summer at Saratoga 3 times in the main portion of the meet. Actually ran 4 times here last year. Ran this meeting last year where he finished third, closing up from nowhere, going 7 furlongs. But I like that he's back in stakes bred quality horses. He from the outside poster, they're probably going to send. And like I said earlier about that horse landed, this horse might not be stopped on the front end. At 5-2, we'll use him on the ticket. I think the 6 horse Bank Frenzy is his biggest rival here for Manny Franco and Rudy Rod. Most recently ran the Alex M. Robb at Aqueduct over the 1 turn mile in December, where he finished third by 6 and a quarter lengths. He was just wide, and I think he needed the race there. His races prior to that, he had a very nice victory in the Empire Classic from a tracking trip, beating home. Doc Sullivan being home Doc Sullivan at Iron Dome, who just completely crumbled that day. But he's back to Saratoga. He's 4 for 2 on this track. Won this race last year from a stupidly wide trip. He's going to be tracking here. Off the bench, he might need the race, but I think his ability that could do wonders here. At 7-2, we'll use him on the ticket. And also the 8 horse Drake's Passage for Miguel Clement and Flavian. He's an old horse. He's a 6-year-old horse now. He's been around the block a few times. Seems like he's been running in all these races that for the longest time. But he's another horse he hasn't won in quite a few years, since the Commentator of 2024, where he won on the front end, but he's been running good races as of recently. Coming here first off the bench from last season, I'll give him a shot here on the ticket. It's a very good feature here. But for campaign selection of the night from Saratoga, it is the Commentator. Going to take the 7 horse Iron Dome, give kudos to the 6 horse Bank Frenzy and the 8 horse Drake's Passage. 7684 Super, 768 in the multi race. With that being said, good luck to all. Please follow me on X at Horse Racing Kid 5 for more selections for race courses around the world. And join me throughout the week for some more Saratoga previews. Good luck, everybody.